What's up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne Young with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Dozens of opposition lawmakers are now facing recall votes. That's according to the latest announcement from Taiwan's election authorities. Leslie Liao brings you the latest.
The fates of at least 24 lawmakers from Taiwan's opposition Kuomintang will be decided in public votes on July 26th. That's according to a highly anticipated announcement from Taiwan's Central Election Commission. This is the latest in Taiwan's mass lawmaker recall campaign saga. Over the past few months, campaigners on both sides of the political spectrum have been pushing recall drives to remove lawmakers from both the KMT and the ruling Democratic Progressive Party. As of Friday morning, 31 recall bids against KMT lawmakers remain active, while almost all petitions targeting DPP lawmakers have failed. Friday's announcement was just the first batch of recall petitions that election authorities have approved. A few more recall bids could also get the green light for a public vote if they gather enough signatures in the next few days. The KMT currently holds a slight edge over the DPP in Taiwan's legislature. The CEC announcement puts almost half of the KMT's seats in the country's chamber at risk. But that's not to say if those recall votes succeed, the vacant seats will automatically turn over to the DPP. That will be determined through by-elections. With the country's legislative majority at stake, the KMT has already responded with an anti-recall campaign. Meanwhile, the DPP says it's going to throw its full support behind the civic groups looking to take down KMT lawmakers. But political parties won't be enough to decide the outcome of these recalls. Ultimately, that decision will come down to the people. Eason Sun and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
A British Navy patrol vessel has transited the Taiwan Strait, an action that the UK says complied with international law. It comes as Taiwan reported 50 Chinese military aircraft operating in the area, with 46 entering the country's ADIZ. This is not Taiwan's airspace, but a buffer area used for defensive purposes. China's military said it had tracked the British ship's movement and that its presence was intentional provocation that undermined regional peace and stability. Meanwhile, Taiwan's foreign ministry thanked the UK for taking, quote, concrete actions to defend freedom of navigation in the Taiwan Strait. U.S. President Donald Trump has set a 2-week timeline to decide whether to launch an attack on Iran.
I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
The White House said that a 2-week window was chosen to allow time for negotiations with Iran's government. Meanwhile, at least 71 people were injured Thursday in an Iranian strike on an Israeli hospital. After the attack, Israel's defense minister said that Iran's supreme leader can no longer be allowed to exist. Taiwan is joining other countries in evacuating its citizens as the conflict between Israel and Iran escalates. As of Thursday, the foreign ministry says 36 Taiwanese have been evacuated from Israel, while 3 have left Iran. One Taiwanese traveler fled Iran by crossing into Turkey after witnessing the dangers of the conflict up close. The foreign ministry is urging Taiwanese citizens to avoid travel to Israel and Iran. On World Refugee Day, NGOs and some officials are calling out Taiwan's treatment of asylum seekers. They say the lack of a refugee law puts refugees in desperate positions and fails to live up to Taiwan's promise as a beacon for human rights. John Van Trieste reports.
Though Taiwan may not make headlines when it comes to refugee issues, there are a few dozen people who fled here for safety. But activists say what they often find is a far cry from the land of human rights and dignity they were expecting. On World Refugee Day, they've gathered with officials, like this member of the government ethics watchdog, who say this can't go on.
一个难民在边没身份、没居留证，他能不能工作？不行。 所以他真的是非常惨。最后呢，都是这个 AI 还有立新基金会在帮忙。那帮忙的结果呢，因为他比如说他生病也没有健保卡。
Despite years of debate, Taiwan doesn't have a law on refugees to say who counts as one and what their rights are. In 2023, the government announced special year-long residence permits allowing work, study, and access to health care. It says no one applied. But those gathered here say at least 20 did. People from places like Myanmar in Southeast Asia, torn by years of civil war.
我认识的很多申请人，距离提出申请已经等待超过2年多，还没有收到任何答复。
And they say some have endured harsh treatment for trying to make ends meet while waiting in limbo. One refugee from Myanmar among them.
他仅仅是因为在台湾为了生存然后工作，然后就被科处上万元的罚款，然后被处以强制驱逐。其实当事人在被查处的当下，他就已经提出了证明，说我已经有申请庇护了，但仍然被移民署上铐带到勤务的处所，而且被拘禁了数小时。那期间他是不能喝水、不能吃东西。
Amnesty International says polls on attitudes towards refugees show widespread support for legal status and protections.
在2022年的这个民调里面，就有过半数的台湾人其实支持的，甚至即使是中国人、是香港人，他们也都觉得应该要，如果他真的符合难民的定义，他就应该要获得保护。那去年其实国际特赦组织台湾分会，我们也有再做了一次2年后的民调，有60%以上的台湾人民也是支持。
In all, 15 NGOs are pushing to get the government to pass a law on the rights of refugees. In the interim, they also want a review of the temporary residency program and existing laws, and assurances that anti-discrimination laws and protections for children also apply to refugees. They have moral support from refugee hotspots who believe Taiwan can do better.
We urgently need the Taiwanese government to pass a comprehensive refugee act, one that guarantees the right to seek asylum, provides a fair and transparent process, and to protect the basic right of those who come here seeking refuge. I speak today not only as a Palestinian, but as a friend who wants to see Taiwan grow up as a place of compassion, justice, and leadership in human rights.
These NGOs hope their pressure will help make a difference and carve out a space in the political discourse for an issue they say can't wait any longer. Ryan Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan passport holders can soon visit the Philippines for 14 days visa-free starting in July. That's after Taiwan extended its own visa waiver program for Filipinos by a year. Taiwan's foreign ministry has welcomed Manila's decision to reciprocate. The Philippines is one of Taiwan's primary targets under its new southbound policy, meant to build up ties with nearby countries. And to find out more about the significance of the Philippines easing travel restrictions for Taiwanese nationals, reporter Irene Lin spoke with Yang Hao, Executive Director of Taiwan Asia Exchange Foundation in Taipei.
What are some of the driving forces behind Taiwan and the Philippines' mutual decision to allow for visa-free travel for their nationals?
It's not only the tourism sector, but Taiwan, through the new southbound policy and the existing new southbound policy plus, we already developed a multifaceted partnership with Philippines. Especially, Philippines is one of the 8 priority countries of our new southbound policy. And it extends to the field of cooperation, including medical, public health.
The Philippines also announced this April that they now allow some of its government officials to come to Taiwan for unofficial visits. What do you think is the bigger picture here?
I think that shows their support to Taiwan's new southbound policy and our goodwill during the past 8 years. And we all know that almost all the ASEAN countries, they have been forced to practice the so-called One China policy. And the Philippines, I think, took the lead in this April to announce that their high-level official and decision maker can visit Taiwan. They don't think Taiwan become a political taboo.
That was Yang Hao from Taiwan Asia Exchange Foundation. 8 Taiwanese troops are set to take the stage at 2 prominent European festivals this summer, the Avignon Festival and the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. The performances will include puppetry, dance, magic, contemporary circus, and theater, exploring themes such as self-identity and cultural memory. The Culture Ministry hopes these performances can help boost Taiwan's cultural presence on the world stage.
亲爱的台湾艺术家们，你们是台湾文化的使者，不仅代表台湾创作力，也代表我们的价值、信念与文化自信。文化部将持续作为你们最坚实的后盾，将台湾文化推上更高、更远的舞台。
The 2 arts festivals will be held in July and August, respectively. An iconic Japanese artwork featuring towering waves and Mount Fuji is on display in Jiayi, southern Taiwan. Our reporter Senichi was there to see it.
Giving visitors a glimpse into Japan's past. This is the Beauty of the Floating World in Edo exhibition at the National Palace Museum's branch in Jiayi, southern Taiwan. It features over 200 artworks from the 16th to 18th century. They include folding screens, hand scrolls, and woodblock prints, typical of what's called the floating world, or ukiyo-e style, evoking the urban life and culture of the time.
就我个人来说，它里面的一些细节，非常多的细节，那呈现出来的是在江户时代的人们的生活的各种场景，然后各种行为、各种动作等等。那同时也包含了当时人们的审美观，或是看世界的角度。
Ukiyo-e works flourished during that period, demonstrating high levels of technical skill and creativity, and they even influenced Western music and art.
透过贸易，那荷兰的商人把日本的浮世绘然后传递到了西方。那西方的画家开始注意这样子的一种艺术表现形式，我们版画的艺术表现形式，看起来颜色非常的丰富，然后构图又非常的特别。那再加上有些浮世绘当中充满了动态然后动感，那这样子就影响了西方的艺术。
Among the artworks is the famous woodblock print, The Great Wave of Kanagawa, by Katsushika Hokusai, which features towering waves engulfing small boats with Mount Fuji in the background.
The artwork is so iconic that it's everywhere in Japan. Just take out a 1,000 yen banknote issued in 2024 and you can find it right here.
The work has even been praised by the Dutch master Vincent van Gogh, describing the great waves as resembling the claws of an eagle.
这件作品呢，好像按下暂停，对吧？你那个播那个看那个 Discovery， 然后那个海浪冲下来了，按暂停。你在按 Play 的时候，它这个浪就会下来了。
Many visitors were astonished to get a glimpse of the waves in person, traveling from all over Taiwan.
我是从台北来，神奈川冲浪里，这个是绝对的，是一定要来看，因为已经把它变成一个神了。
格式北斋的那个，就是那个神奈川冲浪里，就觉得那个还是最印象最深刻这样。这虽然小小的一幅，但是就觉得其实他画得很精细这样。对，然后那个海浪那个都画得我觉得很真实啊。 就好像然后可以让人家看到那个年代的那个场景。
To date, over 50,000 have visited the event since it opened to the public on May 30th. The exhibition will run until the end of August, one of many events celebrating the National Palace Museum's 100th anniversary. Klein Wang, Peachy Zhuang, and Sanichi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we leave you with more images of the Taiwanese troops who are heading to Europe this summer. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.